Coming to you live from my apartment, it's Rob Has a Podcast. And now here's the guy who's not going to behead anybody. I'm Rob Cesternino. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Sunday night, Big Brother. What fun. 1 hour, no sports delays. Sunday night, Big Brother as God intended it. And we've got a great panel here with you to talk about everything. The man who every day, metaphorically, takes your hand in a dark room and leads you to where you need to go. It's Taran Armstrong. Taran, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm taking people by the hand and I'm leading them to TaranArmstrong.com to pre-order my book. Because let me tell you, if they don't, that's a one-way ticket to Block City.
Block City. Uh-oh. Okay. All right. You don't want to be there. All right. And very excited. I believe, is this the BB27 debut for Kirsten MacInnis? Kirsten, how are you?
I am doing great, Rob. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, I've been very much on Love Island, and I'm excited to take a detour to Block City tonight to be with all of you.
Okay, great to have you here after such an exciting summer of Love Island. Are you ready to switch gears?
I was born ready. I've had to do Love Island and Big Brother at the same time before, so getting a gap, it's like a vacation.
Okay, all right, and excited to have here with us to talk about everything, of course. Give it up for Mike Bloom.
Yes, thrilled to be occupying space in Block City, which is Evil Dick's Twitter account, and thrilled to be talking about tonight's episode.
Good.
Rob, much like Ava in the HOH competition, I'm seated.
You're ready, you're parked, you're ready to go and talk about it all. And so we'll talk about, of course, everything from tonight. We'll get into some of the feeds from the weekend, and we'll take your questions also here on a Sunday night chat. And this was, we got, back to in the regular format of our Sunday night nominations. We got our HOH competition, and it ended, of course, as for the second time this season in a Jimmy and Keanu fight at one of our ceremonies. And this time they're ready to go back and forth. Jimmy ends up saying to some, this was a new one for me, but maybe I heard this was maybe a recycled line, that Jimmy said that Keanu is making the toilet jealous.
He's so full of it that that the toilet is jealous, Rob. He was also workshopping another line about toilet paper, but he preferred the toilet one.
Yeah.
You know what? Close enough. Welcome back, Angela. The Temu version of everything your words are. So stick it up your ass is here.
Yeah.
I think we found George Costanza's favorite Big Brother player. This is the Jerk Store called. Wait for Jimmy to come back around a few days later with a better one-upped comment for Keanu.
Yeah. And then what do you think of Keanu's response of pretending to be asleep?
That's your strategy, right? You say go to sleep for the first half of the game, and Keanu's finally implementing your advice.
Good. At all the ceremonies, every time Jimmy is going to say something to you.
I mean,
Maybe
at this
he
point,
should
he should
implement
just be
that in
prepared.
the house. Sorry.
Yeah. Did he actually do the snoring? Did Taran, was there any talk about that, or was that sound effect?
I do not know.
Yeah.
He's a bit of he's got a flair and the panache as part of, one of his chosen professions. I would imagine he'd have to accompany some snoring there. Otherwise, people might have thought, like Jasmine style, he passed out in the middle of the house.
What we missed was the total wellness check where they were, doing the ABCs, airway breathing.
Yeah. That was from the last one. So Jimmy, he has his heart going after Keanu, and we could talk about how we ultimately got there. But Jimmy, Taran, all he wants is a clean week as HOH.
Doesn't like blood on his hands, so he's doing very easy nominations and good ones. I mean, they just make a lot of sense. Kylie, Keanu, two House consensus targets who are also enemies of his to some degree, and then Adrian, somebody that voted against the House last week. Nobody is upset that Adrian's on the block, except for Adrian. And ultimately, these are just good noms.
So Do you feel like the show is doing a good job of painting the picture of why Keanu is getting under people's skin in the house?
No.
Okay, can we talk about that a little bit?
Please, yeah, let's. Also, I don't think it's been made enough of a deal of so far that Mike Bloom is wearing black gloves.
Yeah, I was trying to see what's going on there, Mike.
I'm dressed up in my best Jimmy decor. I mean, he can definitely insult my fashion sense the way he did Rachel, but like, did you not notice the all black ensemble he wore, including gloves?
Mm-hmm.
But are the gloves coming off, Mike?
No, they're down to my bones. So
Oh my God!
Yeah.
They're not
I commit to
gloves.
the bit, Taran. Okay.
He's been degloved.
I wasn't ready for the skeleton hands
Yeah.
to come out. Like, that's scarier than the Mastermind watching them all sleep on Thursday. Like, maybe
But
Mike will be my
Chris-
new sleep paralysis demon.
This is a spooky season, Kirsten. They're going down to the swamp to grab oblong shapes. It's spooky dookie. Emphasis on dookie.
So much Dookie the toilet's jealous, I heard.
Yes. So, okay, let's talk about Keanu because I think that like we got this initial tiny bit of Keanu edit in it might have been Thursday, it might have been Wednesday's episode where Ava was like, man, Keanu is everywhere and he's so annoying. But then we also got like this very sort of positive portrayal of Keanu where Rachel was like, I really like this guy. I want to work with him. And what they haven't really shown is just how often Keanu is wrong. I mean, we saw a bit of that in tonight's episode. We saw him confront Will about his vote. And unfortunately, despite the fact that we had not seen this moment on the feeds where Will truthfully explains that he voted Amy out, after he leaves, Keanu goes, I don't believe a word he just said. This is unfortunately not the first time we have seen Keanu do this exact thing in this exact room and be exactly wrong, because this is just par for the course. I said on stream today that Keanu could be a perfect lie detector as long as you take his reads and reverse them.
Again, George Costanza's favorite player. So here's the thing, because, Taran, I've been following along all your great updates, and to watch you go slowly maddened by the fact that he refuses to take any sort of input that could possibly change his narrative. It's like, beating up against a stone wall, which might be one of the many moves he does as a, personal trainer. I personally think it connects back to
What?
Again, one of
Let him cook, Kirsten. Come on.
Thank you. One of Keanu's many multi-hyphenates, which is as a dungeon master. And what Keanu is doing is one of the worst vices a dungeon master can commit, which is railroading. For those that are not aware, railroading, we're not talking about from the Big Brother 9 perspective. Railroading is a practice in which, as a dungeon master, you have a narrative set in your head. It's a very linear path, and you put up blinders. You refuse to let other players go to other things. If it's like you walk into a bar, and there's the seedy man in the corner, and there's the barkeep, and the player's like, I want to talk to the barkeep. The barkeep turns around and suddenly puts up a close sign. You have to go and talk to the shady man. It's this idea that you have these set plot points and nothing can deviate from that. I do not want to judge Keanu's DMing skills, but something tells me he carries that a lot into the work that he does. And it translates here where if he has this course of events that are already kind of cemented in his head, you can't take the most, severe jackhammer to it from a narrative perspective. He is going to stick with it no matter what you're going to approach him with.
Yeah, Mike, you're not the first person we've heard say this, that we got a call on the patron Q&A on Friday. Somebody called in and said, I think that Keanu is a railroader.
I've just been approaching this. I talked to my boyfriend yesterday and I said, are there any slurs for dungeon masters that we could be using, like, to make fun of Keanu? And the best we could come up with was dungeon master. So not good. There's no good way to make fun of a dungeon master.
Yeah, so basically, Keanu has been, last week he ran around trying to build this like large 10 to 11 person alliance. He's consistently not believing people that are telling him the truth and believing people that are lying to him. He got caught saying Jimmy's name and fully blamed Morgan and sort of like said, just like, I don't believe you. I think you lied to me, and made her cry when she wasn't the one that did it to him. He also believed that Rachel, who we saw in the diary room, was saying, I like Keanu, I want to work with and protect this guy. He thought she was the mastermind behind all of it, and has since then, for the last like 7 days, been super anti-Rachel and cold to her. In any conversation, she keeps trying to be like, Keanu, I'm trying to like talk to you. What's up? And he keeps stonewalling her. And then when she leaves, being like, I'm not falling for what she's doing. And it's just kind of wild. On top of all of this, something that they did not show in tonight's episode is that he's doing now the same thing to Will. But additionally, he's lying to the rest of the house and claiming that he voted to keep Amy. He's telling everyone else he voted to keep it. Not a single person in that house believes him. And that's one of the reasons Jimmy was like, I feel very comfortable nominating Keanu, because everyone knows he's lying about his vote. Half the people in the house he's already told the truth to, and the rest of the half he's lying to. And we all know it. And despite the fact that they all know it, days later, when they ask Keanu, come on, we know that you voted Amy out. Like, we know. He still is saying, no, what? No, I didn't vote Amy out. What do you mean? What are you talking about? I didn't. No, Will did it. Will's the one that flipped his vote. I don't know why. Why are you questioning me? So that is, in part, why Keanu is such a house consensus target.
Okay. Well, he's on the block with Adrian, with Kelly this week. We saw Jimmy go to both of them and tell both of them that they are pawns. Kelly very confidently accepted that role. She said that, hey, I'll come off the block. It's fine. This is fine. I could just go win a blockbuster again.
I want to have a camera on Kelly just in her normal life when she, like, I don't know, like, gets an extra banana at the grocery store. Like, the way she celebrated winning that blockbuster competition by literally sinking to her knees in the Walmart that is Bob's Gym or whatever it is, and being like, thank you, I did it, me, yes. It was an incredible
She said it like 9 times in a row. She's like, I did it, 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 I did it.
Did she start the Kelly chant? Like, I feel like she was the first one to say it.
She definitely continued it. Like, if it was started by when she was going down the stairs, then she came back being like, I know you're all strategizing right now, but Kelly, am I right, everybody?
But then after Jimmy won HOH, there was a Jimmy chant. Is this a thing that this house does?
Maybe just with Emmys or Ellie's.
I was gonna say,
You know
is there
what I mean?
like, are they? I mean, for many reasons, I don't think they're gonna chant Keanu's name when he wins.
Yeah, that's tough. Keanu.
They could just call him
Not as good.
K-Bone, right?
Well,
K-Bone.
might also may also lead to a certain veto outcome that we'll get to. Maybe the chanting is the reason why it ends up occurring.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the reason why some of these nominations end up happening is because the secret powers are here. We have really, I can't ever recall a competition where in Big Brother that we gave away so many powers all at the start of the game here in one HOH competition. Taran, have we had this before?
It's very reminiscent of Big Brother All Stars when David got his power. I mean, sorry, that somebody got the power that was then used on David, and we still don't know who.
Mystery.
Yeah, I mean,
It was the same comp too. It was the dark thing. They found things and it gave them powers.
But to your point, Rob, I feel like it wasn't as early as week 2.
No,
right?
it was a bit later in the season. Yeah.
Can I ask a question? Because I don't remember that competition well. Was the outgoing HOH allowed to go in and look for advantages in that one too? Because I feel like Vince shouldn't have been allowed to look for an advantage this week.
That's an interesting dilemma. You're like, oh, because he's the outgoing HOH, he doesn't get to compete for the numerous amounts of power. But you're also right in the sense that like he's not having to compete for HOH, and therefore is more likely to be able to get a power, which is a little unfair as well.
It's like when they do the slip and slide, they don't let the outgoing HOH just fill up the smaller
Right.
bucket to win the prize or whatever they choose to do that year. I don't know. I thought
It
that
did
was
feel like
weird.
a departure.
And not to mention, like, if Vince had found the key that he thought was the right one, couldn't he then interfere in the competition and be like, hey, by the way, closest ally, hid the key over there. Go grab it.
Right. Yeah, like if this was Jag, he could have won this competition and then handed the key to Matt.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
That would have been annoying.
But all these powers at the start of the game, this does feel a little bit, Mike, that like New Era Survivor, where we're just gonna like front load the start of the game with like a million crazy like powers and advantages.
And on paper, I wouldn't necessarily have like a massive problem with it. I think in Big Brother 22, if I'm remembering these powers correctly, they were varied. They really spanned various aspects of the game. I think my largest issue that we will perhaps get into in another section here is that 2 out of the 3 powers, 67% of them are veto related. So, you know, it's not necessarily, yes, we'll have one that deals directly with the HOH, but then it sort of feels like, okay, and especially with the information getting out and Jimmy putting up 2 of the people that have these powers, we are going to get a lot of front loading of the use of powers as well. And it seems like it's a critical mass of just things that we can store in our heads, let alone the players, considering that we're still dealing with 16 people. And we also have at this point 4 powers if you're including Zach's $10,000 power of veto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's three veto powers out in the wild now.
And like, we've only had feeds for a week. It's really hard even still to like fully grasp all of the pieces of what's happening right now. Like, we're watching as much as we can, but there's of course stuff that we miss that we can never go back to see. And so it's still very much we're creating a murder wall of like what's going on in the house. And then it's like, by the way, so many vetoes and a way to steal HOH are also here. It's just a lot to start with. But again, I'm not like mad about it. I just feel dumb.
Yeah, I'm not mad either. I just think that like the show really feels like that they like the veto being used. I think that they want to have as many weeks as possible. Was the veto used every single week last year up until a certain point? Was that last season or the season before?
For a long time last
Yeah.
year.
I think for a while.
Yeah, it
So-
wasn't until like the final like 6 or 5 or something that it was
Yeah.
used.
Like we had this in Survivor where, you know, after, you know, you had Tony win, you know, it was like they were like, well, how do we like find ways to engineer as much of that as possible? Well, like, what if every episode is a blind side? You never know what's going on. So I really do feel like that this is kind of what they want to have, where every single week it's just like everybody's brain is broke of like what's going to happen at the veto ceremony, what's going to happen after that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, generally, the veto is one of their least broken twists. Like, you can introduce as many vetoes as you want, and it's not really going to impact the minority alliance. Like, it's a hard. You can't really, as the majority, game the veto system in order to, unless you have a diamond power veto, of course, in order to like really screw over the minority. Unless you're able to get enough of your alliance safe that you can't put all of your alliance on the block, but then you don't have a very big majority, do you? And on the reverse, it's much more likely that the people in the minority might be able to win enough vetoes to actually protect themselves. Granted, we don't really see that dynamic playing out in this version of the game right now with the blockbuster happening. And so there is like an unfortunate result of like if all 3 of these veto powers plus the regular power came into use, like the 7th choice
home
for nomination might be the person that gets evicted that week. But that's kind of the name of the game right now.
Here's a question. Do you think that Big Brother producers like the fact that these house guests are telling other people that they have powers, that this private information, because it feels like, Mickey got the umpteenth edition of the coup d'etat, which is like, with the exception of Jeff, never worked, going back to even the deepfake HOH last season where everyone knew that Quinn had it by the time he actually used it.
Well, to be fair, they also kind of knew Jeff had it, but it just was unstoppable. But yeah, they were actually specifically advised in the diary room when they received the powers. They were told by production, we heavily advise that you do not tell anybody about this power. You are allowed to, but we advise you do not do it. And every single one of them told somebody, which quite frankly is, I think, the best proof that exists that anybody who's like a diary room manipulates the game truther. Like they were given explicit instructions and advice that they immediately did not follow. Obviously, the diary room doesn't have that much influence.
Yeah, they gotta be told. They gotta be told if you're telling people about this, like you'll get a penalty nomination or a penalty vote against you, or like there needs to be a consequence to actually keep it a secret if they genuinely want it to be a secret, because you can't just advise these cracked individuals to make a logical decision. They're not gonna do it.
What I thought was interesting that we saw in the episode that we did not see on the feeds is that Mickey had actually told Morgan about the power prior to knowing what it was. I'd be curious to know if she would have ended up telling Morgan after learning what it was, because this is a totally unique version of this power. It's my favorite variation of it so far. Not that I'm a fan of them in general, but I think that the idea that there are so many drawbacks and balance mechanisms to this, where there's a genuine way for this to fall flat, especially if you do tell people about it. And so it's possible she would have kept it a secret, but once she had already told Morgan that the power existed, obviously she might as well go ahead and tell her the rest, because now at the very least Morgan can hopefully help you keep it a secret if possible. And then with Kelly, she was already caught, and then Keanu is Keanu.
Let's go through those 3 powers that got doled out tonight and just talk about who has what and what they can do. So Keanu is the one that seems like that is going to be the most imminently important to us, and that is the power of, what do they call that? The mystery competitor power.
Yeah, I think that makes
Rolls
sense.
right off the tongue.
Mystery competitor power. I guess mystery is Hotel Mystier. There's something there. The mystery competitor power. And Keanu speculated, wow, it could be Michael, could be Casey, could be Cody.
Now, how many of those people did he know before he
Yes.
said it in that diary room?
He watched highlights, Kirsten.
Yeah, Rob, it has been confirmed. Melissa's theory on Keanu was correct. He has only watched highlight clips of Big Brother.
Yes, and I had seen just recently on social media that he was talking about some of the highlight clips.
It will be relevant in the next episode, I imagine.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you read the Cliff Notes, everybody, okay?
Should have at least shouted out the YouTube account. Bring plenty of clout to the ones that helped Keanu incidentally prepare for this season.
Get them
really
copyright stricken? Oh my God, Mike.
Yeah. Mike, Zay tried to ask ChatGPT, how do I win Big Brother? That Keanu just tried to watch clips on YouTube.
Listen.
No shortcuts, people.
Exactly. You got to commit. Look at what Izzy did. Izzy watched 24 seasons of Big Brother in like 6 months. That is your golden standard to attune yourself to, people.
What I will say is, to Keanu's credit, he does really remember a lot of names. Like, that's why I thought maybe he was actually a person who had watched the show, because he knew Maggie's name. He knew Kaser talked to Maggie. And he also, again, relevant to a future episode, I imagine, can remember quotes word for word from, he really studied those highlight clips.
I just you know what? It's fine. If you want to watch highlight clips rather than actually do proper preparation for Big Brother, whatever. I like watching people play the game poorly. It's entertaining. But don't say it. You like, if you're going to pretend in your preseason that you are a fan, that you remember all these key moments of Big Brother over the decades, no, you have to keep it up for 100 more days. You've committed to that. And now you're letting yourself down. You're letting me down. Like, it's too much. You have to commit. If you're going to say you watched it, keep pretending. You be better at faking it.
So this begs the question, because obviously this is, the quarter century anniversary of Big Brother. You could say that maybe bringing Rachel in was sort of a part of that. Clearly, this is going to bring in a mystery house guest to compete in the veto. Do we think that we're going to consistently see people dropping by throughout the season?
It is an interesting way to bring the alumni back into it. When I first heard about this,
we have the Friday show as well, which is like a perfect avenue for that.
Yeah, because I mean, this is low key the 25th anniversary of Big Brother. The show really has not done any mention of like 25 years of Big Brother. Like, there's been almost really nothing about celebrating 25 years of the show. So I don't know, maybe this is like a little way to like sneak in some celebrating of like bringing people back in different ways this season. But it doesn't feel like it.
Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. But it is like a odd twist of that. Okay, not only we're not gonna have somebody like come back to host the veto competition, Taran. We're gonna have somebody to come back and play in the veto competition.
I will say, like, there is a part of me that kind of enjoys that, like, because it's kind of such a unique concept, and it's sort of like like people who are like into comic books, they're always like, well, oh man, what if Batman fought Superman, and then they get to see that. We don't get to see that very often in Big Brother unless we watch All-Star seasons, and sometimes those are very disappointing. So if you've ever been like, man, what would it be like if this comp beast was playing in this house, like, how do they compare? Is Jag really that good, or was it just a competition? Like, you can, now we're going to get to plop one of these comp beasts into a house full of people and see them compete against some new faces.
Did Jag get snubbed? He didn't even get mentioned as a challenge beast by Keanu that could play for him.
Keanu didn't watch any of the best ofs from that season.
The compilations are like 2 years old.
Unfortunately, Big Brother 25 doesn't have any best ofs. At least none that include Jag.
I think that this idea has been something that we've seen in the challenge specifically, the idea of mercenaries, where, arguably the most famous moment in the show's history, the bananas backpack, came from CT just randomly showing up in the middle of the season that he wasn't on to be like, all right, put me in. I'm going to throw bananas around. And so I kind of love this idea. And I want it to happen more. I want it to be 7 players in the veto every week and just have one of them be a random house guest that's going to show up. Because listen, if you just want chaos, clearly by introducing these powers, throw in this rogue element.
Okay, now, Mike, in your scenario where the 7th veto participant is a random house guest, that the weeks that that Michael Bruner wins the veto, what happens?
There's a 24-hour period, like when Dan went into the Big Brother Canada 1 house, where everyone makes their pitch to them, and they ultimately make the decision. The past dictates the present, Rob.
See, okay, but here's how it could be more fun, though. I don't want to see a comp beast. I don't want someone who's won a bunch of vetoes. I want someone, bring me Kathy. See if she gets stuck in the toppy again. Bring me like Raven from BB27. Bring me like the most random person you can think of who's not necessarily good at comps. They don't necessarily have to be bad at them. And just see, does their experience in having done comps in the past give them an edge over these people who've never played this type of game before? Or will we get more hilarious moments? I just think it would be more entertaining than bringing in someone who already won a bunch of times their first time playing and now is like practiced to go back into the competitions.
Hear me out, because this also helps with equity in competitions. Everyone gets at least one sub in all season long. It's like a shot in the dark, and like a shot in the dark, you have a whole mystery roster of players in the pool. So if you want to sub out in any given competition, you can tag in a former player, but you don't get to choose who it is. So it might be Cody, it might be Kathy. You don't know who's coming, but if you don't feel confident, you can tag someone in.
It's probably whoever's just around that weekend.
Well, yeah, and
now the question is, like, are they all like sitting on the bench in like basketball jerseys and sweatbands? Like, come on, put me in, coach, pick me.
They're standing behind the towel of the BB14 towel that hid the coaches.
The group chat. Who can get down to the Radford lot in the next 30 minutes? Anybody?
And you'd be
have
surprised
to give a
how
amount
many
of advance notice.
A lot of people could get there in 30 minutes or less, I think.
Vince did when he was delivering stuff to the lot.
Yeah, Yeah.
But
I-
think
I-
about it, because now instead of being like, well, Amy's never going to win a single competition in this game, you'd be like, well, maybe Amy won't win, but what if she tags in Michael Bruner? Oh man,
I love this. Yeah, like trial by combat style. Like choose your tribute. And look, what's great about it as well is like, I don't know, I think a random draw would be fun, but there's also a little element that also, helps pride fandom. And not to say that, to Kirsten's point, I love recruits, especially when they are making great TV and figuring out the game as they go along, even like a Derek X we saw a few years ago. But I would just love this idea that like you're looking at someone with popcorn muscles of like, one of the jacked bros who never won shit. Like, oh, this person seems like they're a ringer. They're totally going to take it. And they just absolutely tank it.
Cam from last season?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Give me Cam.
What's he doing with that ice cream cone?
Not the ice cream cone. Cam was exactly who I was thinking of too in that argument as well. Just someone who we all thought would do well. And again, I would have literally jumped in front of a train for a physical therapist if I were in the Big Brother house with him. So it's fine. But he's not good at the comps.
We still need to see how this plays out in practice, but I think that this is fun. I think that they're probably going to do this more. I think maybe not necessarily this season, but I could see this happening like once a season.
Yeah, I think so. Big Brother has become a show that, much like Survivor in its new era, is fairly self-referential. Helps when you have a former player in the house. So I think it's something to do. Again, for BB20, they had a bunch of alumni like sitting in the audience. It's the gloves, isn't it?
I can't every time the glove
It's
comes
so
on the screen.
ridiculous. But you know what? We should just be happy Mike's wearing any clothes at all,
I'm wearing more than enough clothes. Yeah, exactly. It's the exact, I'm zagging where I'm supposed to zig. But it's the idea that, they're wanting to bring these past house guests in some way, shape, or form. Help bring in Angela to do like the whole 0 stars routine from BB20. Just bring in these random people to, especially towards this like final 7 to final 5 period when nothing's going to be happening and we have 90-minute episodes. Like bring in alumni by the boatful here and have them wreak havoc on the house.
Okay. Well, that's Keanu's power. We also had Kelly has the mystery veto power where she has to do a comp. And then if she wins the comp, she can get a second veto. And she's very confident.
Yes. They all keep calling this like the Caitlyn puzzle in the house. Despite the fact that we basically had this exact thing happen just last season, which I guess just goes to speak for how unmemorable it was.
It really was.
Yeah.
Taran, for the life of me, I cannot remember what Leah did. I've heard you mention it on the updates that Leah had this power. I have zero recollection of what she did.
It was something along the lines of like,
Yeah, she had to knock over some bottles. Oh, in a certain amount of throws.
and it
Oh, yeah, 'cause
really
it was
looked like
like-
she wasn't
it was
trying.
that
It was
janky
like-
world?
Yeah.
It was
Exactly.
janky,
How
yeah.
many people in the house right now know who Janky is? 'Cause
I feel like didn't they sing it on the feeds one time last week?
I don't recall.
I don't know.
I mean,
But they all have watched, like, this is the season that they would have watched,
Yeah,
is last
exactly.
season.
I
Yeah.
think they
I
know.
feel
I
like
think they
they're
know
still
Janky
watching
more than they know
16.
Michael Bruner, for being completely
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. Okay. So she's going to have the chance to win a second veto if she decides that she wants to use that power. But then the big one, the Mickey power that we saw her win tonight, is the power to is it called the interrogation power?
Yes, I don't know why they.
Which is
eliminated the
ironic
mystery
because
there.
it's more of like the interrogation is more like how this power gets undone.
Yeah, you don't want the interrogation to go well if you have the interrogation power, which doesn't really
It's
make
really
sense.
the HOH is the one doing the interrogating.
Which is interesting. I was talking about this on stream that, like, I actually feel like the interrogation is worse for the HOH. I think that if you are the HOH being overthrown, you probably have a better chance of just guessing who has the power based on the existing information about, like, the competition and the general reads on the house than you do from actually interrogating people. If anything, I think that's more likely to throw you off of a correct scent, because now all of a sudden you're like interrogating Mike Bloom and he's wearing skeleton gloves and you're like, wait a minute, but what if it is Mike?
Yeah.
Whereas you
Ah.
otherwise wouldn't have considered it.
So that's what Mickey has to do: is if the cat's out of the bag, just try to peacock as much as possible. And we're talking enough about Peacock.
Paramount Plus.
Exactly. And just like really distract the eye, because they only get, what, like 3 minutes to interrogate everybody to get a sense as to what's going on.
3 minutes each?
Was it 3 minutes? I can't be 3 minutes.
I thought it was
each.
3 minutes each.
I think
Yeah.
it's 3 minutes each.
I feel like 3 minutes for everyone is like, you're not going to get through everyone.
This could be really fun because I watched a TikTok where they had the stylist of the house, the set designer. Did you see this, Mike? Where they went through it, and they were talking about like all the different inspirations, and they talk about like the Have Not Room was sort of like 40s like film noir, like was like why they made the Have Not Room that way. And I definitely feel like that they will do like some kind of like interrogation set where the HOH is going to have people under like a hot light. Like, I think it's going to be like a funny set piece.
Yeah, it reminds me, Rob, of I do not know if it's completely DOA, but our beloved Claim to Fame, right? That was one of their textbook challenges, but they brought in this random extra to like interrogate them and have them do a lie detector. But in this case, I really hope the HOH commits to the bit. But I think this is such a fun power. Like, I really don't like the coup d'etat power. It's like the textbook example of like, fun for the show, bad for the game, because it just completely disrupts everything and there's nothing you can really control. This at least puts a little control back in the HOH's, stead. And that it's almost like for those that have played the Jordan Kalish brand Mafia, the Killer Miller role, right? Where it's like, if you get killed, if you are able to tell who the person who killed you is, then they die and you're alive again. I think there's at least a little amount of deduction there that definitely makes it a little more palpable than just straight up, yep, it's my HOH now, no questions asked.
What I will say is that this is, while better balanced than previous iterations, still not super well balanced. If we were looking at a house with a big majority, this is way more powerful in the hands of the majority, who have a lot of people in their alliance to mask, to choose from. Whereas if somebody who was on the outs got it, it's like they're one of only a couple people that would ever even be guessed, and so they're much more likely to have it be guests, and then again, like, you might just overthrow the minority.
That's a good point. Yeah, could you imagine? It's Big Brother 22. Like, Davon got this power. It's like she uses it. She's gonna overthrow like Memphis's HOH, but then Nicole Franzel ends up telling that like, oh, I think that Davon has the power. It's like, forget it. It's over.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's definitely either Davon or Kevin. Might as well just go Davon, I guess. And it's like, well, so much for that.
Yeah.
That made me want to throw up. Just this hypothetical example. Like, I feel sick to my stomach.
Now,
but okay, who would be the funniest HOH to be doing the interrogations? That's my question. Like,
no, Ava.
Keanu's funny,
Ava.
but I feel like Rachel.
Ava would be incredible at it.
Ava would be the most intentionally funny. Keanu would be the person who, when after speaking to Mickey, goes, she's the only one I'm sure doesn't have it.
Yes.
Let's expand upon Taran's great idea here. Could you tag in an interrogator?
Who did you bring in? Like Derek Levasseur to come in?
Exactly. Or it could be Derek Levasseur or Sheriff Kathy. Anyone from the BBPD files.
I mean, we saw Derek on the Traitors. I don't know how I feel about that. Taking anybody? Do they have to be a police officer to take them in, Mike, or can it just be anyone?
It could be anyone. It could be like Donnie, who they thought was in the military.
I think you would want Davon. I feel like Davon is maybe one of the best like readers. She'd be like, Jimmy's a triplet, I can tell.
That's true.
Pocket, 100%.
And he's the thick triplet.
How does she know?
Not the
It's
thick
the gloves.
triplet.
Thickums, remember?
Thickums, there we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I can never forget.
That was 10 years ago. Happy 10-year anniversary to
God.
Thickums.
Okay, so Mickey is going to tell one person. She tells Morgan is the person that she tells. Kirsten, is this going to be okay for Mickey? Was this a mistake?
I mean, if she was going to tell anyone, this isn't the worst person for her to tell. They're very close. It doesn't seem like Morgan is interested in betraying her, but I think that it could backfire when inevitably Jimmy finds out that only 2 of the triple threat know about it, and he's not one of them. And he was HOH when it happened.
Yeah, I mean, it really was Mickey having to commit to the bit at this point. Doesn't she say on the episode, like, well, if I tell Jimmy now, he'll know I lied to him then. So I might as well keep going with it. And we all know that always works out really well for people when they take that line of logic.
No, I love that. People are like, well, they'll know I've already lied. So now I will make it so that when they find out I lied to them, a lot more time has passed and I lied for longer and worse. And that will certainly work.
Yeah.
Well. It's like, no, the best time. Well, first you should have told no one. But if you're going to tell someone, the best time to tell Jimmy was Thursday night. The second best time is right now.
But the problem is that this power, it only is power if people don't know you have it. So, like, to tell you tell Jimmy, the whole house is gonna know.
Yeah,
What if they tell Jimmy that it's Morgan?
Right. There are some tricky things you can do here. You know, when we play Blood on the Clock Tower, a popular move is to swap roles with somebody so that you can portray the role they have in order to confuse your opposition. So you could theoretically have Morgan act like she's the one who has it, have her go around confiding in people that she has this power, trusting them with the information and hoping that it kind of leaks out. You know, you might get caught doing that, but like, and then, you know, there are some potential downsides. Like they might then be like, well, you didn't trust me, and then they might also then like target Morgan to eliminate the power. So like there are some reasons why you might not want to go in that specific direction, but like there are some kind of fun things you can do with it.
We saw Jimmy go on a witch hunt to find out where the powers were. First of all, I thought that Jimmy did something very smart in the HOH comp where he basically like parked where the final what dumb elevator was to basically figure out that Kelly had the power. I feel like that's kind of like goaltending. I feel like he shouldn't be allowed to do that, but he did it and it was a good plan.
I mean, they didn't know what to do with the house guests that either had finished or, in Ava's case, just noped out of the competition. They couldn't exactly open the door and, you know, expose the insides of the sewer. Sort of like, all right, I guess honor system. But yeah, I thought that was like a low key. And this is the Jimmy that I thought we would get out of his HOH reign, which is like savage and, for lack of a better term, snaky, of him being like, I'm going to help Kelly.
He's not a snake, Mike.
Exactly, but we'll help Kelly.
He's not a fake and he's not a snake.
I heard the snake has a bite, actually.
I heard the snake is on another network. But anyway, so the idea of getting Kelly to the power to be like, well, at least I know one person. And therefore, if I'm looking for reasons, because if you're taking the Vanessa Rousseau logic of like, it's early on, I have to have rationales behind everything. I don't want people mad at me. At least now he can say, hey, I led you to this thing and now I have to put you up because of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's going to people. Do you have the power? And if you don't, if I find out that you're lying, that is a ticket to Blockville. Taran, is that an effective way to get the truth out of people?
Rob, it's a one-way ticket to Block City.
Block City.
Blockville is too small. You got to send them to Block City. This is the blockbuster era of Big Brother. Yeah, I mean, is it an effective way of getting them to reveal their power? No, I don't think so. Because he usually is saying it after they've already lied.
Yeah, because well, can I say that as a parent, Mike? I feel like that the move is like, hey, did you do this? I won't be mad. I just want to know, like, did you do this? Not like, okay, I need to know whoever did this is in a lot of trouble.
Exactly.
Did you do it?
Yeah, because if you present the consequence ahead of it, they're not gonna confess to it. If you're like, hey, just so you know, I mean, that's the entire idea of the prisoner's dilemma, is that if you confess, you get reduced jail time. It's not like saying, all right, if you confess, you get extra jail time. Then they're not going to confess to the crime whatsoever.
Yeah. Kirsten?
Yeah, I think that, you catch more flies with honey and maybe try to be a little nicer to people. Maybe don't make it seem so much like you're storming around the house, interrogating everybody to find out if they have a power or not.
Maybe he has the interrogation power.
He has an interrogation power, certainly. But I think you have to approach things more generally, more conversationally, see what people are willing to confide in you before you start making threats. Like, threats don't tend to be that powerful in Big Brother in general. Like, I feel like it's something that people often think will work, that, people will capitulate if I threaten them. But like actuality, it doesn't really work that way. And so I think being nice is always better. And also, don't use the same script with every person.
Oh,
like
Jimmy's got a Jimmy, Kirsten.
It's like kind of fine in this where it's like, and if I find out you lied, you're getting a one-way ticket to Block City. Like, okay, sure. Then everyone can be like, huh, you told me I was going to Block City. Like, what's up with this guy? But he uses it all the time, communicating with people using the exact same verbiage and phrasing. And like, eventually he's gonna get caught. Not good.
Maybe it's easier to not have people compare notes when you're giving them the exact same notes, you know, so you don't get confused in your head as to what lies you're telling. If I just pull my string and say the same thing to every person, at least I'm nothing but consistent.
Pretty easy to compare notes when the notes are a photocopy, but
So I want to go back to Keanu, and because this comes up when Jimmy has his big meeting with everybody, I want to put Keanu on the block. And Zach had a lot of information from the HOH competition. He was next to Mickey when she ended up getting her power, but also the bizarre thing was after Keanu got his power, he takes Zach by the hand and leads him into another room. Do we know why this happened?
It's a very strange strategy from Keanu. I think the most generous version of it is that he remembered a specific object in a specific place and was hoping to guide Zach to it. My issue there is that still not the best strategy because it's going to take longer for the two of you to get there. He should have just gone himself, grabbed it himself, and given it to Zach, assuming that was within the rules. And I haven't heard that it's not. And if they were just looking for things together, that's also worse because again, he could be looking on his own and finding it and guarding it until Zach got over it. Like there's a bunch of other versions of this that make more sense. But on top of it all, it is a very clear indication that he has already received a power.
Yeah. And it also feels like that in Zach's interpretation, it's like, oh, and then it seemed like that Mickey was about to get a power and he was trying to distract me and bring me away from where that was when that happened. And it seems like that he is feeling like that maybe Mickey and Keanu were in cahoots.
I don't think he thinks that, but I think because like in his mind, I realize he knows that in Keanu's mind, he's with the bros. Like he's aligned with Zach. And so I think Zach did take it to mean that like Keanu was trying to like actively lead him to a thing. He just didn't really care because he's not with Keanu, doesn't care about Keanu.
Yeah, the Mickey thing is separate where he happened to be, I think maybe after like it was in futility, he came back to sort of the scene of the crime. And it seemed like he thought him and Mickey were sort of like competing to put, I wasn't sure if it was only one piece could fit in each hole or if it was like truly, okay, there are multiple ones and you just have to get back first. But like, it seemed like the two of them were in the same place at the same time. And he hears Mickey like let out something near him. And maybe the sound of the dumbwaiter going up then indicated like, oh, she might have something.
Yeah. So I thought it was one size piece fit each thing. I don't think there were multiple answers to any of the dumbwaiters. But I thought it was funny when Mickey was like, okay, I got the thing. I am not going to let anybody know. I can't let anybody know. And then she does like this very like big celebration, which is fine for us, but it's like pitch black. Yeah. And she's like dancing and like air punching. Like she was so lucky she didn't hit somebody.
It's literally in the diary room. I had to refrain myself from celebrating too much. Visual.
I mean,
in the pitch black.
She could go with the Ava defense of like, I was so scared. I just started punching things around me. So sorry if you got caught in the crossfire.
Sorry, I'm just scared of the dark. I don't have an advantage. I was just afraid.
I was having a night terror.
I just started swinging.
Yeah. Speaking of night terror, Kirsten, the Mastermind did break in. The Mastermind did steal stuff from the house.
But here's... On Thursday night, when they showed the footage of the Mastermind definitely in the house with the house guests, watching them sleep, 100%, not separately spliced together at all. I thought that he had stolen like a sock or something and put it in the safe, but then now we're to believe that the safe
Not
held a
Pete.
bunch of advantages.
I honestly think they need to beef up security around the power of the HOH. Each week now, it has been stolen by the Mastermind. I know this is obviously the MacGuffin that he forever wants to. Maybe he's just a big fan of Big Brother 1. That the Mastermind just wants to get rid of the HOH, get rid of the nominations. America should be able to vote. But it feels like, honestly, more of a reproach of the checks and balances that exist within the larger BB structure, that someone's able to waltz in every single week and take the power of the HOH that the house guests then have to go back and get themselves.
Like the house guests, they didn't sign up to be solving crime against some demented, red-faced freak. Like, that's not fair. They just want to play a game.
They signed up to dress as a demented, red-faced freak in punishment costumes.
Wait, why are we talking about Jackson Mickey?
Michael!
I had some watermelon today. It was delicious. It is the season. So.
I gotta go.
I might have had a red face after that, after the watermelon.
Mike has a red face right
Yeah.
now.
Just pay attention to the gloves.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to Will and Will's predicament here. After the Aaron vote, he got lumped in with the Burger Boys, was loyal to the Burger Boys, and then was very sad to realize that the Burger Boys was a bit of a mirage.
Yeah, this was tough. I was waiting for Will's explanation because while he was in the Burger Boys, he's also pretty close to Ava. And he actually told Ava, like, I don't want to be on the wrong side of this vote. And prior to the eviction, he said to Ava that he was planning to vote to keep Amy. And so I had the theory that maybe at the last minute when Zach and Zay pulled him aside in those 2 minutes, that they were like, please, 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 can you stick with us? And that maybe was what changed his mind. According to the edit so far, at least, they're just portraying it to be that he's fully on Team Burger Boys, regardless, which I don't think is super accurate, but it is the narrative that they're going with. It's possible that he was just like, all right, that's what I'm most loyal to. He certainly hasn't exposed it to anyone. But the Burger Boys, they're not really a thing anymore. And so Will has been hung out to dry in many respects. And on top of that, this vote got him in trouble weirdly with Keanu, even though he voted with Keanu, which is wild. And now Keanu is anti-Will. And so this was very bad news. On top of it all, we didn't see it in the episode, but Will injured himself in this competition.
In the black box?
Yes, and has been kind of out of commission ever since.
What's his injury?
It's some kind of injury to his leg, knee area.
Rough kneecap syndrome?
Thought perhaps. I thought maybe we'd see more details in the episode, but maybe predictably we did not see any of it at all.
Well, and do we know, did he need to see any sort of like medic? Like, did he get medical attention, or is he just like icing it and continuing? Because I feel like if he had to receive medical attention, they're much more likely to not show us the injury than if he was just like treating it on his own.
Is he on like painkillers? Is it possible that he could be a little checked out?
Ooh.
I mean, he has felt a little checked out since, but I think it is the fact that like if it were something visible that like impacted things significantly, they might feel like they need to show it. If it's something that they can maybe pass off as like, oh no, he's always had a limp, then maybe they don't show it.
He was in the army. Okay,
he came in like this. Don't you remember?
Oh man, to get out of the army in good physical health, but to not make it out of 2 weeks in the Big Brother house without an injury is pretty sad.
Yeah, I mean, Will has had a very odd journey. I mean, this is the weird thing about Big Brother, right? And we saw it tonight with Adrian.
This is the weird thing about Big Brother?
I mean, one of many. But the idea that, like, because this is not a show that's really edited with, like, a long lead ahead of time where you know the beginning, middle, and end, people would just randomly pop out of nowhere. Like, Will was not really a part of the narrative until this very episode where he realized, like, ah, shit. I mean, to your point, Taran, like, we saw on the live episode, seemingly, he goes up to Rachel and says, I got you. So he very clearly got caught playing both sides. And, I mean, to compare, like, you know, how Riley and Will both simultaneously like fess up to what they're doing, but in completely different ways. And Riley, incidentally, causing all this Keanu versus Will drama by being like the only person in the house to be like, yeah, I'm going to tell one person I did this. I'm going to tell like two people, but like, don't say anything. I'm just going to lie low right now, and nobody will peg me for being the one to actually flip my vote.
Yeah, an interesting thing too about Riley, which I thought was worth pointing out, is that we talk about like threatening is bad, but also like kind of doing a favor for people, especially unasked favors, but even asked favors, don't always do much for you. Riley is like, hey, I did this for you guys. Make sure you protect me this week. It wasn't in this episode, but many of those women have been pushing for Riley to go on the block for no particular reason, just because he's a good option. And they have absolutely no goodwill toward Riley for doing them that favor.
Well, and especially pre-jury. Yeah, get him out before he can be mad at you for not rewarding him for doing you a favor.
Mm-hmm.
But another man getting in trouble for Riley's actions is really funny to me, personally.
It's been interesting. I think this is episode 5 tonight of the episode or the show. And we have some players that are just completely invisible on the show, where we see almost nothing of them. And I'm just interested to know, like, Taran, from watching on the live feeds, like, is Catherine like a big part of like what happens like day to day on the live feeds? Because she's been just about invisible on the show.
She's been almost equally invisible on the live feeds.
Mm-hmm.
Very low key, not really involved in any particular alliances. In fact, I would venture to say that Catherine has been talked about more than she has talked on the live feeds.
Interesting.
Well, and she's sounding a little hoarse. Like, is she not feeling well?
She had a confessional tonight.
She did lose her voice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But from
Lauren,
what? We've never seen her talk.
never talk. Lauren, too, is like, other than when we hear about does Zach have a crush on her, I feel like that we never hear anything else about Lauren.
She's a little more present, also talked about quite a lot. But yes, also not super present on the feeds. She was the most visible toward the end of last week, when she was like the sole person that could not decide which way she wanted to vote. And since then, not a lot going on for Lauren either.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else from tonight's episode before we start to head towards live feed city?
I don't think so.
I mean, what I will say is that it feels kind of odd going back to hour-long Sunday night episodes after we got 3 90 minutes in a row. It's kind of like when you work out on like a higher weight set and then you like decide to go back down to a lower setting. Like, it feels odd. My muscles, from a watching perspective, it takes a little while to adjust back, because I guess we were so calibrated to it being, half as longer as it was usually.
I don't agree, Mike. It felt like a 90-minute episode. It did not feel like it was only an hour.
But imagine if it was 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make me throw up again.
Okay. I feel like Adrian is also somebody that I feel like we've barely gotten to know, and now we see him in trouble this week.
Seems like a very likable guy.
Yeah.
Also not very present on the feeds, not very active in the game. Really should be talking more. Spent all of last week saying, I'm voting Amy out. I'm being honest about it. And that's really coming back to bite him this week, because he was in the minority and he seemed inflexible. And so that is, much of the reason why he is currently on the block.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, we're going to start to discuss what's happening over on the Big Brother live feeds. If you're going to leave us now, we'll be back after the 90-minute Wednesday night Veto episode. But for everybody else, we got some live feeds coming up here right after this.
The Office of Civil Defense has issued the following message. This is
a spoiler.
Warning.
A spoiler.
Warning means that an actual
spoiler
against this country has been detected, and that protective action should be taken.
Okay. All right, so Taran, busy weekend on the feeds and an eventful veto ceremony, right?
Yes.
Or veto competition.
Yes, we had a veto competition. And actually, this was an interesting one in terms of finding out the results because normally, the feeds come back and then you see like who's wearing the veto necklace. We actually found out who won the veto competition just from actually hearing it. Here, all the way in San Diego, we could, let's go!
Let's go!
And that's because Casey Clark came in and won the veto, Rob.
Yeah. Mike, does she still say that on the challenge? Is that still her thing?
She does a little bit. What Casey has largely taken up a role as is actually what she got used as a lot in Big Brother, which is like the exposition person, where she'll come back from a commercial break and be like, "Today's challenge is called Stick a Finger in a Bucket, and here's how it works."
No.
And so she is usually like she's not a real personality hire, I would say, when it came to the challenge.
Let's go.
And so she has said at least a couple times, as she did specifically in Exaltation when she did win a season of the challenge, and she's claimed another W here.
Okay. All right. So Keanu, it brings in his secret house guest, and it was Casey. And congratulations to Casey for winning the veto. And so Keanu is safe this week.
Yeah, and he's not scared to talk about it either, man. They thought they could nominate me, but then I went and won the veto. So
It's just so bold to talk about how he won the veto when Casey did that for him, actually.
he wasn't even in second place. That was Adrian.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like it's just an interesting take to really push that he won. Like at the very least, he should be saying, "Oh yeah, I couldn't even win the veto. I needed Casey to do it for me, which is why I'm not a threat. So don't worry about me in the future. It's fine."
Do we know at this point what the competition was, Taran? Was it a BB
They
Classic?
said it had something to do with grip strength and like
Ball Cop Wednesday?
athleticism of some sort. So they were like Casey. They were all saying as soon as we saw this, we knew Casey was going to win it.
Which could be almost any veto competition. You see it and know Casey's going to win it.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So,
yes.
All right. So, talk us through, what is Jimmy thinking, Taran?
So Jimmy is thinking that he needs a replacement nominee, obviously. He'd been considering it ahead of time, and the option that he was thinking of the most was Amy. Because Amy has already been nominated, and she's worthless. These are his words. She does nothing for his game. She's not going to win a comp for him. He might as well throw her up on the block and not get any additional blood on his hands. However, Rob, that is not the end of that story, because as we know, Kelly also has a veto-like power. And knowing this, Jimmy is anticipating that he may need to nominate another replacement if Kelly also manages to win her Leah Janky challenge and gets that veto. So the other person that he is considering is Will, because he voted on the other side. There's drama around Will. And quite frankly, he's trying to please Keanu because Keanu's safe now. And so, although I would not say that it stemmed from that, but then he had a conversation with Keanu where he's like, "You seem to hate Will. If I nominated Will, would that, be a sign of good faith?" And Keanu's like, "Absolutely." And so Keanu now, after having been nominated by Jimmy, after having been targeted by Jimmy the week before, is walking around the house going, "Me and Jimmy were good. Rachel tried to screw me over with Jimmy. Rachel tried to get in between us, but now we're good again. So I'm with Jimmy and I'm against Rachel."
Yeah.
If he doesn't get Rachel's name out of his mouth, I'm going to be heading down to whatever
Don't say
the
beheading.
lot is. No,
beheading. Yeah.
I'm not qualified for that one.
Yeah. So, what'd you think about Keanu with like some stolen valor here? That Rachel has got like her new catchphrase going of, "If you come for the queen, you're gonna get beheaded." And then he said tonight Jimmy the snake, I'm gonna behead the snake. What's with the beheading?
It's weird. It's really weird. Why is this like? Why does this keep happening?
Listen, the guillotine, the French Revolution is something that might be discussed, in popular discourse nowadays. It's like maybe people are feeling like the concept of cutting off the head. I did like, again, full D&D nerd mode of Keanu pointing out the barbarian going into rage mode. I thought that was very, very appropriate.
It felt very forced. It was like incredibly.
Welcome to Big Brother.
It like that. This is the thing too. I'm thinking like, who can we tag in from a past season to come in and kind of like help clean up these speeches a little bit? Like Jimmy's got the energy, but I don't know that he has the acting talent. Keanu's is also not great. Love Rachel, but she could use some help in that department as well. Like, could Angela help them, or is there someone better for that? Give them a little coaching on.
I mean, she's pulling like double duty at this point, but I think Davon would be another great one to bring in. She feels incredibly natural with her, many, many iconic things that she said over the 3 seasons.
I think Kirsten's right here. I think Davon is too naturally talented. Angela works for it. Angela practiced and rehearsed. Davon is like, I don't know if you can teach what Davon has.
I suppose that Angela is able to spot when the talent level is at a low budget movie quality. So exactly. she would be able to really give critiques.
Like, none of these people are sitting in bed in the dark, mouthing the words to their entire speech before they go down. Like, they're practicing, sure. No one practices like Angela practices.
Mm-hmm. The sleep deprivation is a huge part of it too. They're not committing to that bit.
Yeah, how dare they be well rested? That's crazy.
So, Taran, when will we know if Kelly is going to use her veto power?
She uses it after the veto ceremony concludes. So she will, or at least at the end of it, whatever the timing is going to be, which means it's got to be something relatively simple for her to do.
So everybody's going to sit there in the veto ceremony while she goes and plays her thing to go see if she's going to come back with a veto? Is that what's going to happen?
Theoretically, I mean, that's about what happened for the janky one as well. So
and Caitlin, right? They were all watching on the screen.
Yeah, so she does go to a separate room and they watch her on a screen. Maybe she does it right there in the living room. Maybe they go into the backyard and she does something there. But we should know when the feeds come back from the veto ceremony if she managed to win it, and then Will is also up on the block. So we'll find out. If she stays on the block, she will remain the target.
Okay, so now I know we're playing like 5D chess now we don't even know who the nominees are going to be at this point, let alone we still have Thursday and the blockbuster. But does it feel like that there is like a consensus on who might go home on Thursday?
No. And this is because Jimmy is really pissing his alliance off by putting up Amy. Many of them, at least.
Oh, no.
Morgan and Mickey and Rachel are
like
all
a
very
Heisem situation.
It is very Heisem-esque. Yes, they have actually talked about like maybe we should get Jimmy on the block as early as next week. They are not pleased with Jimmy. They are now trying to make new alliances that do not include Jimmy. And meanwhile, Jimmy's like, I have no options, as though he's Vince. And so it's a bit of a problem for Jimmy. And all of those women are going to try very hard to evict Adrian this week if they have the ability to. If it's Amy versus Will, things get a little trickier because there are some of them that would prefer Will stays, some of them that prefer Amy stays. So that gets tricky as well. Are there enough votes to evict Adrian is another question, because that may not be a given. You have a player like Ava who's in an alliance with Adrian and close to Will, but also really wants to work with Amy and the women. And so she's going to have to make a decision. If she has to choose, I think she keeps Will, but Will is also not fighting very hard. I think she may keep Amy over Adrian, depending on what the arguments are, because she's not the biggest fan of Adrian, but she is in that alliance with Adrian. So it gets very tricky even with each individual player. And I don't think we're anywhere close yet to determining where things will really fall.
It's just staggering to me that for the second week in a row, the HOH makes an incredibly unforced error here. Why is he putting up Amy?
He has 10 votes, Mike. He has 10 votes. It's fine. Whatever he wants to happen will happen.
I mean, Amy was like a couple of conversations away from going last week. This is not like a slam dunk scenario, the way that he's presenting it. To be like, well, if she's on the block, we know that Rachel's going to corral the votes and surely she'll survive to see another day. He is very much playing with fire right now. And if Amy ends up going in this case. Like, Rachel, get ready for Rachel's versus Jimmy week 3. It's
Yeah,
gonna be
but
delicious.
isn't that what we want? Like, isn't that going to be fun? So with all due respect to Amy, who seems lovely, like if she goes home on Thursday, isn't that going to be like an inciting incident for more really exciting stuff to happen?
Very possibly.
Yes. The other thing too is like we talk a lot about how the first HOH can set the tone for the season. And, you know, we've had some particularly chaotic ones in the last few years where maybe week 2 was a little bit more of the, okay, this is how we're setting, you know, boundaries for HOH.
Kylan came in after Frenchie and then,
Right.
you know, things calmed down.
Exactly. But this time it's a second HOH making the exact same mistakes, which could be setting us up for just an entire season of HOHs really, you know, counting their votes before they hatch or whatever, and just making really bad noms, which is entertaining.
Was it last season Chelsea came in after Angela?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's interesting. You know, we've been talking about the blockbuster and the ways that it influences the game. And, you know, arguably one of Chelsea's biggest, maybe almost blunders was her talking about like, well, maybe I will put up somebody like Cam or Cedric on the block as part of, because I don't want to get more blood on my hands, right? And now I don't think she was as close as she seemed on the feeds to actually doing that. But the fact that like those conversations were even entertained, I think is a testament to the fact that, you know, these HOHs do feel very scared and they feel like they need to put pawns up on the block, people that won't be mad at them. And I think that what they did find eventually as the season progressed in season 26 was that like, no, you really should just nominate people that you don't want to stay. And you know, Quinn learned that the hard way a few times. So, you know, I think we will get there, but I think the players are slow to adapt to this new style of gameplay, especially when there's this, I think, very outdated meta that already exists, that like that HOH was already a bad thing and that you already were putting a target on yourself. So I think that perception has grown even more.
Yeah, it is really interesting to just see what the HOH did to Jimmy. It's almost the exact opposite of die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain, because Jimmy kind of was a villain and then came in here and is taking on this quality that I think he admonished Vince for, right? When he was saying, like, put up Keanu, what are you doing? He realized that, like, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Though it is interesting comparing these last 2 weeks in that I will say while Jimmy's renom plan is ill-advised, this seems like a little bit more manufactured just because of everything that was thrown in. Like, ordinarily, this would be a week where Keanu wouldn't have won the veto. He goes, or even if he somehow ends up winning it, then Kelly goes because there's no second veto in play.
And to be fair to Jimmy as well, it's not like he's nominating Catherine, who is like somebody that he is closely aligned with that nobody else is really closely aligned with, and would very definitely go home if he put her up and didn't win the blockbuster competition and then would lose an ally for no particular reason. That would be kind of the equivalent of what Vince did. So at least his worst case scenario is that he is losing somebody that like is just like not necessarily the best person he should have taken out.
Taran, anything interesting happened today? A sneak preview for tomorrow?
Oh, interesting you ask, Rob. Yeah, there happens to be something that was kind of interesting that happened today. So I've been talking about the Keanu and Rachel conversations. They had one today. And I happened to be watching this, and I was kind of like, I was doing something else as I was watching it because they weren't really talking too much game. And all of a sudden, Keanu starts talking about like, oh yeah, I watched some clips, some highlights, and Rachel's like, oh, did you watch my season? No, but I did watch the highlights. She said, oh, like, what did you see? And he starts describing. He's like, oh, there's that guy. She's like, Brendan? He's like, no, the guy that was like, the only reason you came back in Pandora's box is because you're a bad thing and everyone hates you. And she's like, oh. And he's like, yeah. And then, you know, like the floaters had grab of life vest. Oh, and then there was like, Hayden was saying, why don't you string a sentence together without saying the word like? That was a really good one. Yeah, you were part of some good moments. And Rachel is like, wow, okay. And she like gets up and walks away. And she's like, what? What did I say? What did I say? And she kind of like throws the door behind her and storms into the house. And he's like, what did I do? I don't get it. What? She just stormed. I was just talking to her about highlights from her season. I was just like, oh, Floaters Grab a Life Fest. I don't know why she did that.
I love it so much. Again, we are getting these bits and pieces of nuggets of Rachel wanting to come into the house as someone who has gone through a lot of life changes. She feels she's mature, a little wizened up to what the Big Brother experience is. But then there's just these cracks that emerge, and there's these moments that needle and expose the true person she is underneath. For what it's worth, when she has, because Keanu foolishly decides to pursue her, being like, okay, wait, let's talk about this. And she, for the umpteenth time, confronts him and says, like, you know exactly what you're doing. For what it's worth, I honestly don't know if that's the case. I would not be surprised if Keanu just...
I don't think he knows. Yeah.
He's room illiterate. He cannot read a room. That he's just like, oh yeah, here's all the funny parts. Specifically when people were insulting you and saying that they didn't want to be around you. Hilarious. Don't you agree?
And it's like, there are other highlights that are definitely on that reel that you can bring up that are not going to have that type of impact. Like, even if you bring up like Brittany and Matt Hoffman wearing the hair extensions and kind of making fun of her in the HOH, I don't think that has the same type of reaction as being like, remember when Hayden basically called you stupid? Or remember when Reagan said everybody hates you? Like, haha, those were great moments. Like, what? What do you mean?
I mean, she was basically like, to pull the Hayden quote is like, that's a deep pull. Like, people don't remember that quote. Like, and then to quote it word for word at me, it's like, and then laugh at it is wild.
And I think as well, and this is me definitely putting my own like personal experiences onto Rachel. So this may not be accurate, but it's how I feel watching it because of who I am as a person. Sometimes when you're a reactive person, people try to get a reaction because they think it's funny, and it actually feels really crappy that it's like your natural emotions are entertainment for them. And I feel like Rachel gets needled so much in her past times in the Big Brother house that her tolerance for that must be extremely low. And so it's like, Keanu didn't necessarily say anything specifically of like, oh yeah, I agree that you're dumb or that everyone hates you. But to have that brought up again, I think is only natural to make someone upset. And the fact that she like went to another room up to the gym and was like, I took myself out of this situation. Like, it doesn't feel good to have all my worst moments, said back to me. It just goes to show that it's kind of like he's hitting a deeper wound than what he thinks he could be. Because again, he's in the Big Brother house for the first time right now. He does not know yet what it's like for his actions and behavior to be dissected by the world, and Rachel does. And so it's really like rude on a much deeper level than what it even maybe seems on the surface to us watching.
On top of that, didn't she just say at like this sort of gratitude dinner that they had a couple nights ago that she's like, this is, the best cast that I've been a part of. The past 2 seasons I've played, I never felt like people really liked me. We never had a family dinner like this.
Mine's Keanu.
Yeah, so then it was exposing this raw nerve to Kirsten's point where it was like, yeah, you think that you are sort of in this communal space where you're accepted, but like, here's a reminder of when you weren't in this exact same place over a decade ago. Like it's triggering, for lack of a better term. And so I do very much, and listen, I understand that people think like, well, she's been on reality TV all these years, she should have a thicker skin. Like, again, I think Kristen made a very good point that like, this clearly was speaking to something very different than just like, oh, you're parroting one of my quotes back at me where someone was mean to me. Like, I think it reminded her a bit about that headspace that she was in back in BB12 in particular, and that was not a space she wanted to be in.
Yeah, and the context of it being Keanu as well. Like, if this was somebody else who was saying like, oh, I remember some of the moments, and was like, I can't imagine anybody else doing it the way that Keanu did it either. But like, the fact that it was Keanu also matters because there's a lot of history and context there where the last 5 conversations they've had have been very bad, have been him, afterward being like, I don't trust a single thing she's saying. I'm not going to buy any of that BS. And Rachel obviously knowing this, but him not admitting it and like being like, what do you mean, Rachel? I believe what you're saying. I do trust you. Then she leaves the room like, I trust her. And like, she knows this. And so like, there's even less reason for her to like interpret what he's doing in any kind of like, oh, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in this situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Seems like there was a lack of a sensitivity. I mean, I think all of us have, could have had in the past, somebody said something or wrote something about one of us. And if somebody is just like, oh, it was hilarious, like that comment, that was blah, 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 as opposed to like, oh, I couldn't like, he can reference it without like saying how funny it was.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
100%. Like you can just say, oh, I saw all these moments, and even just leaving room for Rachel to react to them and like give you like connect with Rachel on a human level, and she can tell you how it felt in that moment, right?
Or
And then
like,
you can build a bond versus like, it's so funny that everyone hated you and it didn't go well for you. Ha ha ha. Like,
Or use this as a moment to use your apparently encyclopedic memory of Big Brother minutia
Clips.
to use this to like connect with her, right? Rachel said in the second episode when she saw Will initially, like, I want to work with someone who's a fan of mine. You could say like, I saw that clip of Hayden, using that clip with you. Like, I can't imagine how that made you feel. Be able to then turn that into a moment where you can connect with her on that deeply emotional level rather than saying, oh my God, that was so funny. Don't you agree? Very presumptuous on his part, but isn't that Keanu in a nutshell?
Yeah.
well, yeah, and like Keanu doesn't give me the sense of someone who even thinks about or cares about other people's feelings. He's extremely self-involved, which is shown to the point of like, he thinks something's right and it doesn't. You could literally hit him in the face with the facts that counter what he is thinking in that moment. It doesn't matter. What he thinks is right, and it doesn't matter what anyone else says. And that is, it can be entertaining, but it also is just not going to help him in the game of Big Brother.
All right. More on that coming up in the morning when Taran is back with you at 11 a.m. for the live feed update. All right, Taran, I guess this is a new graphic. What do you think of this?
I don't know.
Yeah. What's your expression here?
I think that's me mid-sentence, I guess. Mid-word.
Okay.
What emotion do you think
Yeah.
is happening here, Taran?
What's the emoji you would put with this?
I think this feels like concentration to me. This feels like I'm explaining something.
Mm-hmm.
See, I feel like from the eyes you're doing an impression, but I can't tell of who.
No, unfortunately, I do just have crazy eyes. That is.
No, you don't. You don't. I've known you
we
for
should
a
also say
long time, and I would not
crazy
say that.
Happy Crazy Eyes Day to those who observe. It's the 1-year anniversary.
It is.
Oh, and we had Taran and Kirsten here to commemorate it.
Yeah, every year on Rockstar's daughter's birthday and Crazy Eyes Day, Taran and I have to podcast together.
Okay. All right. 11 a.m. on Monday for the live feed update. And then we're going to have the slop. We're going to record it tomorrow. We're going to be a day early. I'm going to be doing some road tripping this week. And so I'm going to be on the road on Tuesday when we normally record the slop. So Chappelle and I are going to get together for a slop on Monday. And so we need those sloppy suggestions for all of the stuff that we can't talk about in the main feed and we can only put on Patreon because it is way too crazy to be in the public podcast feed. Okay, that's going to be the slop. You can see that at robbinswebsite.com/patron. Then, the Stock Watch night is also on Monday.
Look
Yes,
at they already
it'll be
black and whited Zay here too.
more like blue and whited.
Okay, wait. Can we talk about how crazy it is that the announcer said that the former Mormon became a former house guest? That was one of the most wild things I've heard in a while.
The Latter-day Saint climbed the ladder out of the house.
Man, he really likes.
Latter-day Saint.
Yes, we will be rating the players and giving out the survey for you guys to do the same and talk about the season as a whole and what we think of all these twists and powers and all of that good stuff. So tune in Monday night for that on the Stock Watch.
Okay. Then I've been doing something fun with the Survivor 50 cast. We've gone back into the RHAP vault that the Mastermind doesn't know the combination to, that we've been bringing you some fun interviews I've done with all of the old school cast members of Survivor 50. This weekend, we posted my conversation with Aubrey Bracco right after she finished Survivor Game Changers, if you want to check that out. And check out the whole series in our Survivor podcast feed. Kirsten, tell me about Love Island Beyond the Villa. What's going on?
Yes, so Love Island USA Season 6 last year was a global sensation. And this year, the stars and some other randoms from Love Island USA Season 6 are all living in LA for the summer and getting up to shenanigans. And in episode 2, there was a parent trap situation, which is always very fun on reality TV.
Wait,
Can you
like
explain
twins?
a parent trap situation?
Well, it's just basically people who aren't wanting to be around each other, and you create a circumstance where they will have to be together. And Janae orchestrated one in episode 2. And Brent Scally and I talked all about
because
it.
when you said a parent trap situation, I was thinking that somebody switched places
Yeah.
with
that was
another
my thought.
person.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, actually, there are identical twins, and they've each been with one of their parents their whole lives, and they switched.
I got
Thickums.
concerned when it went on about a show called Love Island where people were parent trapping, swapping. I was like, uh-oh.
It was like, okay, Liz's boyfriend doesn't know that it's actually Julia.
Right.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, to me, a parent trap is when you bring the people together that don't want to be talking. But it's good to know that everyone has different
Yeah, no,
different
that's not really
opinions on
the
that.
main point of the parent trap, was that it was two parents
It's-
being brought together.
Yeah, but I mean,
I guess
I don't know.
technically
This
the
is what my
title, yeah.
sister and I call it when we talk about
Maybe
it.
you can also
We're
call it like a
gonna,
you've got mail, like any sort of situation. I mean, really any sort of trope, right? Of like the enemies to lovers.
Okay.
Well, but it's not enemies to lovers. It's anyways, just try watching Love Island Beyond the Villa on
Check it out.
Peacock.
All right. And then also check out what all of the Big Brother stars are saying over on Chat BCC, where you can join the private group chat of all of these great Big Brother alumni. Find out what they're all talking about, including Rachel Riley, who's continuing to post nonstop over on Chat BCC. What is she saying? You have to find out. Go to robbinswebsite.com/VIP chat for that. Okay. All right. Taran, of course, we know live feed update coming up in the morning. Anything else going on?
Well, of course, the book. Check out the book. It's here. Look, it's a book. It's like flying around.
flying book?
Flying book.
Flying book. Listen, if you pre-order a copy of this book, it might fly. That is a
It might fly,
possibility.
Wow.
depending on where you live in the country. It might fly to you.
It might be a flying book. I'm not ruling it out. Okay.
Mhm.
So, if you want to figure out if yours flies, just order a book.
Okay. All right. Great job tonight, Taran. Kirsten, anything else coming up for you?
Yes, follow me everywhere at Kirsten Said What, some Twitter, and listen to Mess Magnets every week. Myself and Sasha Joseph talking pop culture, celeb gossip, trending topics.
Okay. And then Mike Bloom, what are you up to these days?
Can I cede my plug time to ask another clarifying question to Taran? Was Miss Felicia also in the veto competition?
They talked about Felicia. I did not understand if they meant that she was there or if they were just talking about her generally. But there is a chance that on Wednesday night we could see
Did
Felicia.
she
but
host the veto competition?
No, I believe
I'm
Ava did,
skeptical.
because she was rocking this like giant floral ensemble that she got from hosting the comp.
Yeah.
Kelly didn't know who Felicia is. One more negative knock towards
Mm.
Kelly.
All right.
If it's not Tucker or related to Tucker, she doesn't know it. But yeah, as you mentioned at the beginning, Rob, I got the chance to do Big Brother Exit Press along with these two guys at the end of every week. Got to talk with Zay. If you want to find out what advice he got from Chat GPT, be sure to check it out and all the other stuff I do at a Mike Bloom type.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us. We'd love to see what you have to say in the YouTube comments as well. And of course, we'll be back with you again Wednesday night for the next live recap of BB27. Take care. Have a good one. Bye. This is RHAP. We know reality TV.